My name is Ben Adloff. I'm an instructor here at PRC. I teach the Introduction to Computers course, and I also teach the Windows Fundamentals course. And we're going to talk about Dropbox today. Mary's already covered one of the housekeeping details. Phone's off. I got my phone turned off. The other thing is that if you have questions, we'll do a Q&A at the end of the presentation. And the third thing is that, full disclosure here, I am not, nor have I ever been, an employee of Dropbox. I'm not a funder of Dropbox. My Aunt Sally doesn't work for Dropbox. I'm just a user. So I've got no financial stake in Dropbox, so you know that what I'm going to tell you is completely unbiased and unvarnished. When Mary put out the call several months ago for people to talk about Tech Tuesday topics, I thought Dropbox would be a pretty interesting and apropos subject because it relates and tracks very closely to some of the material, quite a bit of the material that we cover in the two foundational courses offered by PRC, Introduction to Computers and Windows Fundamentals. Specifically, all of that information that relates to file management and the file system. Are there any attendees today who have taken either one of those two courses? No. In Introduction to Computers and Windows Fundamentals, we spend an awful lot of time talking about file management. Creating files, deleting files, renaming files, creating folders, moving stuff in and out of folders. Mary knows about the importance of that stuff, and those two classes spend a lot of time on those ideas. And Dropbox relates very closely to that because you're going to find yourself spending time doing those things. Creating folders, moving files, renaming files. The other reason is that Dropbox really gives us an insight into the transition that's occurring in the way we use technology in both a business setting and our personal lives, away from the use of devices like this, desktop computers and laptop computers, more toward devices like this, tablets and phones. We're doing more and more business and more typical business functions on these devices rather than laptops and desktops. 15 years ago, if I were to go to a meeting, you go to a conference room, conference table, employees are sitting around a conference table, people would have a laptop in front of them, taking notes, whatever it was they were doing. Now you go to a meeting, you're still going to see a laptop or two, but you're going to see an awful lot more people using tablets and phones to do what they were previously doing on a laptop. And Dropbox is the kind of technology that is hastening that transition. Sales of laptops and desktop computers are declining, and sales of tablets and phones are increasing, and those tablets and phones are doing a lot of the work that desktops and laptops used to do. Oh man, look at that, it even works. Amazing. Dropbox is a big name in cloud storage. Dropbox was started in 2007. A couple of students from MIT started it. They are a file hosting company. They offer file storage services. They offer file synchronization services. They offer file sharing services. They do so in a couple of different flavors, levels of service. Dropbox Basic is the one that we're going to be talking about today because it's free. Gives a user 2 gigabytes of storage space. That can be increased depending on whether you go through kind of a little introductory learning experience that they offer. I think they kick it up another half a gig or a quarter gig, something like that. They also offer a mid-tier level of service, Dropbox Pro. We'll show you the pricing on those on the next slide. Gives you 1,000 gigabytes of online space. They offer not only these file synchronization services and storage services, They also offer for users both desktop and mobile applications that allow users to access and use these services. They offer desktop applications for Windows machines running Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 8.1, and Windows 10. We're going to use the Windows 10 flavor today. They also offer a desktop application for Macintosh OS 10 operating system, and they also offer a desktop app for Linux. In addition to that, they offer mobile applications for devices running iOS, iPhone, iPad. They offer it for Android devices. We've got an Android device here, a nice Nexus 7. Dropbox is on it. Oh, let's see. They offer it for Windows Phone. They offer it for Kindle Fire from Amazon. Let's see. Who else do they offer it for? There may be one other that they offer. Let's see if I've got it in my list here. BlackBerry. No wonder I didn't remember it. BlackBerry. You don't see too many of those around anymore. In addition, there is a web-based interface. We're going to begin our journey through Dropbox using the web-based interface. We're going to show you how your data is instantly synced across all of your devices. We'll talk about syncing, give you some demonstrations, which are kind of neat, I think. Show you how changes made to data from one device are immediately replicated in all of your other devices. We're going to go through some basic file management. Deleting a file from your Dropbox account leaves you with a grace period of 30 days that you can recover that file in the basic version. Now that's pretty cool. When you delete a file from a Windows machine, what happens to it? It goes to the recycle bin, right? It stays there. It'll stay there forever unless you clean out the recycle bin. A lot of people clean out their recycle bin fairly regularly. Dropbox will keep a copy of your deleted file available for 30 days from the date of deletion. So if you delete a file from your Windows machine, for example, and then subsequently go out and clean out your recycle bin and realize then, gee, I wish I had that file back, it might still be available for you on Dropbox, which is kind of a nice feature. It also offers a versioning feature, meaning that it stores previous versions of a file. So if you have a resume, and your resume is stored on Dropbox, and you make a change to your resume, and you save that change to your Dropbox account, the original version of your resume will still be available for you. Pretty nice. If you made another revision to your resume, well, the first two versions would be available for you as well. Nice feature. We talked about the mobile apps: Android, iOS, Windows Phone, BlackBerry. Service plans. This is the guy we're going to talk about today, Dropbox Basic. 2 gigabytes of space, safe and reliable backup, access from anywhere, simple file sharing, and a 30-day file recovery. The same is true for the file versioning, by the way. You have a 30-day window of file versioning available to you. If your needs are such that you think you'll need more space, well, then you're going to have to pay for it. You're going to get a terabyte of data for $10 a month. A terabyte of data is a lot. 2 gigabytes of data is a lot too. I mean, if you think back 20 years ago, 2 gigabytes of data is a huge amount of data. We don't think in those terms anymore, but if you need a lot of data, if you store a lot of photos, for example, photos can take up a lot of space. You might say, you know, I like the service so much, $10 a month is not so bad. Introduction, though, we're going to talk about this guy. We're never going to get anywhere close to using 2 gigabytes of data. And then there's Dropbox for Business, $15 a month per user. Gives you unlimited file recovery, a bunch of administrative controls. You get, you know, first-class kind of concierge customer service. Nice feature for a business use. We're going to talk about Basic today again. What do I hope to accomplish today for your benefit? we're going to look at Dropbox from a couple of different vantage points. We're going to use Windows 10 and a laptop computer that I have down on the floor, and we're going to access Dropbox from a web browser. We're going to access Dropbox from the Windows operating environment itself using the standard Windows file management tool called Windows Explorer. And we're also going to access Dropbox from a couple of different mobile devices. An iPad, which I've got here, and we're going to cast that up on the screen so you see how it looks on an iPad device. And we can also access it from Android, although we won't be able to display that on the screen. And we're going to work with files and folders. We're going to create folders. We're going to create files. We're going to move those files into folders. We're going to demonstrate what syncing is all about and how that actually looks visually, so you can get this kind of concept of how data is synced from one device to a cloud storage service. We're going to delete files. We're going to recover deleted files. We're going to restore previous versions of a file. And finally, if we have time, we're going to do some linking to files so that you can share a file. We're going to link to a Dropbox file, or at least show you how that process goes, try and demonstrate what that means, linking to a Dropbox folder and its contents, and then we'll talk briefly about sharing a Dropbox folder and its contents. In other words, allowing others to collaborate with you on the data that you have stored on Dropbox. Let's take a look at some static screenshots so that you get an idea of what we're talking about when we're getting our arms around this notion of dealing with Dropbox from a couple of different environments. If we access Dropbox from a web browser, it's a secure environment. You need to log in with a username and password. And that's the screen that you would see in order to do that. In fact, if you go to Dropbox.com, you're going to see a screen like that or something similar to it asking you for login information or prompting you to create an account. And doing that's really simple. You need a valid email address and you need to supply a name. When you've logged in to Dropbox via a web browser, this is what you see. It's their interface for accessing and managing your data directly on their cloud servers via a web browser. We'll spend some time getting familiar with some of the features of that particular interface. Now, Dropbox offers you also the opportunity to install one of these desktop applications so that you can also access your data from a Windows machine, an Apple machine, or a Linux machine. And that application, when installed, provides you two cues that it's been installed. One of them is the Dropbox desktop icon, and the other is this guy way down here in the notification area. It's a little Dropbox icon that provides you access to some additional information. We'll get up close and familiar with both of those when we use Dropbox through Windows 10. This should be familiar to all of you who use a Windows machine. This is Windows Explorer. It's the Windows 10 version of Windows Explorer. It looks a little bit different than some of the previous editions. Principally, this notion of quick access now replaces the old favorites notification in Windows Explorer. But it's all the same stuff, just the new name. You'll notice that we have a typical display of Windows Explorer, a left column and a right column, our navigation pane, and what I like to call our target pane. We'll be using that a lot too. And these guys are really important. I mean, these are the mobile devices that really drive this whole desire to share data or to have access to your data from a variety of different sources in a variety of different locales. Whether you're here in this room accessing your Dropbox account from a desktop computer, or whether you're on the train going downtown and you want to access your files from your iPad while you're sitting on the train waiting to get into the station. This is a screenshot of an iPad. Got a lot of the typical stuff on it. There's your access portal to Dropbox on your iPad. And when you tap that, you get another display that's kind of typical of Windows Explorer. You get two columns. Your navigation pane, the right side would display the contents of whatever file was selected. So kind of a typical display. And here again is an Android device. Same deal. Icon, tap it, and you get a display of what the contents is of your Dropbox folder. Android's a little different. They don't quite display data in the same fashion, but nevertheless all the functionality is still there. It's just not displayed to you in the same way. The last slide in the show is the one that shows you how to open up a Dropbox account if you wish to do that. So, let's take a look at the real thing. This is the browser of Windows 10. It looks a little different. It's their new browser. It's called the Edge browser. It's terrific. Very fast. Nice clean lines, simple interface. And this is what the contents of a live Dropbox account looks like. I set this account up a couple of months ago in preparation of this. And this is all live. I mean, we're online, so this is a live account. And here is, again, this very typical display of information, kind of similar to a Windows Explorer layout. Two columns, a skinny left-hand column, and a big fat right-hand column, which contains our file information. Let's take a look at some of these items that are over here in what I like to refer to as the navigation pane. That's what it's technically referred to in Windows Explorer, and that's kind of the basic layout that Dropbox is using in their web interface, their browser interface here. Everybody see that? Pretty clear? Big enough to see? Good. You'll notice that the word files appears in bold black. That means that that's our current location in this Dropbox location system. And in our files location is one file called Getting Started with Dropbox. It's a PDF file. The table that data is displayed in gives the file name. It happens to display the file type, Getting Started with Dropbox.pdf. It gives the file modification or creation date, and there's a third column. We'll go over those columns a little bit later. Moving down this hierarchy, if you will, is another location, Photos. I'm going to click once on this, and you'll notice that Photos now becomes bold black. That's your visual cue that you're now in this location for Dropbox. And this one happens to be empty. You've got no photos or videos. We're going to change that later on because this is probably the best looking group you've had here. So we're going to take a group photo and we're going to make sure that it gets into this Dropbox account. Sharing and links. We're going to get to those in a little bit. Sharing is about sharing folders and sharing its contents. Links are about creating links to files. We'll show you how that's done. Let's move on down to the events location. This is really cool. Dropbox provides you this events location, which gives you a timeline of all changes to your Dropbox folder. Not for 30 days, but for the entire life of the account. It tells you what you added, what you deleted, what you modified, and when you did it. And possibly, if the document is still available, it might allow you to access it. I mean, if it's been deleted permanently, it's gone. But it's a full history of everything that you've done to that account. That's really cool. Gee, you know, I thought I deleted that file, and I can't for the life of remember whether I did that or not. This thing is going to answer that question for you. You're not going to be sitting there scratching your head whether did I delete my budget file or did I move it someplace else? This events location is pretty nifty. It's a nice idea. And finally, we got this file requests. We're not going to work with this, but it's also a neat idea. It allows you, the owner of this account, to invite anyone to upload files to your Dropbox account, even if they aren't Dropbox users themselves.
Is that safe?
Terrific question. I guess the answer is that if you invite someone to send files to your Dropbox account that you have no confidence in, that you know are scoundrels, that you know are going to send you bad stuff, probably not safe. So the idea is that you're not likely going to invite somebody to send you malicious files in your Dropbox account. The whole question of security in these things it's a big one, and it's way beyond the scope of this class. But your question hits directly on that issue, and it's a good one. So, for example, you know, you went to a family reunion. Somebody took some pictures. They've got them. You don't. You'd like to get them. You could invite that individual to send you those files, not by email, but by uploading them to your Dropbox account. You know, one of the issues with email is many email services have size restrictions on the size of the file that you can attach to an email. You're not going to be able to attach a 3 gigabyte video file to an email and send it to somebody. That isn't going to work. Dropbox, you're going to be able to do that. Okay? I'm going to go back up here to our files location. And there's our getting started with Dropbox PDF. Let's take a look at this table. We'll just run over this quickly. The table has 3 columns. The name of the file column, it's sortable. You notice if I click once on it, we can sort these things alphabetically. Modified, same thing, we can sort files modified. And obviously, since we've only got one file in here, there isn't going to be any sorting going on, but you can do that anyway. The last column is a 4 for 1. It's a shared with column. In other words, if I had shared this file with someone, that information would be listed there. But if I click on the file heading, it changes to the kind of file that it is. In this case, it's a document file. If I click on it again, it gives me the file extension PDF. And one last click gives me the file size. Nice feature. Let's take a look at some of these other icons up here moving toward the upper right-hand portion of the screen. There are 4 action icons. Upload, new folder, share a folder, and show deleted files. Terrific. Just kind of in keeping with the general notion of similarities with Windows Explorer, there's also a context menu available for you users who like to use the right mouse button. If we right mouse button anywhere on the screen, we get a context menu that gives us the same 4 action features: upload, new folder, share a folder, and deleted folders. Nice. It's a good touch. Very polished. And we'll use some of these in a few minutes. Upgrade account, obviously we're going to see this a lot. You know, they want you to spend a little money. So you're going to see that reminder. Here's a little notification area. Probably if they have some maybe systems upgrade, they'll advise you of that. And you've got some information over here about you and your account. You'll notice that by clicking on this hyperlink, we get a little drop-down menu that provides us with some information about who the account name is, the email address associated with the account, the amount of space that's been used in the account, and the amount of available space. So I've got 890 kilobytes used of a maximum of 2.2 gigabytes. Haven't used an awful lot of space. And there's some additional little features down here that provide us a little bit more control over our experience and use of Dropbox. Settings allows us to change the name, or allows us to change the language, or allows us to change the way the dates are formatted. You know, kind of nuts and bolts kind of stuff that a lot of users don't get too heavily involved in. There's also this notion for installing. What would you install? Well, you might want to install the desktop application that allows you to use Dropbox from the Windows desktop. We'll show you as we move forward in the demonstration how that works. And once again, upgrade, $9.99 a month. And finally, you can sign out of the account, just like logging off any web browser. You log onto your Chase account through a web browser, username and password, you do your banking, then you log out. Same principle here. So that is the interface from the web. How do we work with a file? Okay? We've got a file here. We've got this PDF file. Not unlike Windows, we need to select the file to do something with it. Right? And selecting it, in this case, we put our mouse pointer over the row that the file occupies and click on it once with our left mouse button. And when we do that, we get a whole a menu of options of things that we can do with this file. We can open it. We can leave a comment about the file for others. We're not going to get involved in that. It relates to this notion of collaborating with others about our data. We can delete the file. We can rename it. We can move it. We can copy it. And we can find out if there are any previous versions associated with the file. And if there are, we can get those previous versions. Now, this is straight out of the Windows playbook, right? I mean, this is all basic file management stuff. Intro to Computers and Windows Fundamentals lives here in Dropbox. So, let's go ahead and do something here. Let's select this file and let's open it. I've done that by simply left-clicking. What's happened? We got our file open, right? It's opened in Adobe Acrobat Reader. Why? Because Adobe Acrobat Reader is installed on this laptop. So when you want to open a file, and the appropriate application for that file is loaded on your machine, Dropbox says, yep, they've got Adobe Acrobat Reader on their machine. Let's open this file with that piece of software. Great, you say. I don't have Adobe Acrobat Reader on my machine. Am I out of luck? No. Dropbox has built into it file viewing software that will allow you to display and see the contents of a file, even though you don't have that application on your computer. So if this machine didn't have Adobe Acrobat Reader, we'd still be able to see this PDF file. You'd be able to see PDF files and Word files and Excel files and all sorts of different kind of file types, because Dropbox has that functionality built directly into it. You know, and all of the functionality associated with Adobe Acrobat Reader is available to you. You can look through all of the various pages in this. This is one of the handouts that you got. And this is brought to us directly from the Dropbox cloud server, wherever it may be. We don't know, but that's where it is. By clicking on the X in the upper right-hand corner, we close Adobe Acrobat Reader, and we return to our browser interface of Dropbox. Another real basic function of file management is creating a folder. You have at your disposal the ability to create a file hierarchy right here in the Files location of Dropbox. By file hierarchy, I mean folders and subfolders into which you can place your data in whatever organizational method you choose. Let's go ahead and create a folder. I'm going to go ahead and right-click. Using the context menu, I'm going to select New Folder. When I do that, I get this pop-up that asks me, what's the name of your new folder? I'm going to say My Folder. And do I want to share this folder? No. It's an optional feature. We don't want to share this folder at the moment. I'm going to click the Create Folder button. Wow, pretty cool. No screen refresh. I'm sure that some of you noticed that. This just appeared in your screen, nice and smooth. Didn't have to wait for the browser to refresh. Good technology. Now, I can select this folder by clicking on it once, just like I did selecting a file. I can open the folder by double-clicking it. We've also got a file path. Dropbox, My Folder. Terrific. Straight out of Windows, right? Straight out of Windows Explorer. I can go back to Dropbox by clicking on Dropbox link, and there's my folder. Let's take a look at some of these other features up here in our action menu. We've got Upload. Some of you may have noticed that you cannot create a file from the browser interface. The reason is that there are hundreds and hundreds of different file types that could be created. I mean, yeah, there are Word documents, there are Excel documents, there are PowerPoint documents, there are executables, there are JavaScript files, there are dynamic library link files. There's all sorts of stuff that you could create. Dropbox isn't going to let you do that, can't let you do that, doesn't know, couldn't possibly create all of those file types through the browser interface. What it does, however, is allow you to upload a file from the local machine that you're using. Pretty straightforward stuff. Let's go ahead and upload a file. I'm going to choose Files, and when I do this, look what opens. It is straight out of Windows Explorer. It's the Open Files dialog box. This happens to be the My Documents folder on this laptop that I'm running. I'm going to upload this file, PRC Story. It's done. I'm going to click Done. And there it is. So what I've done here is I have uploaded a file, the PRC Story Word file, from the laptop that's here on the floor to the cloud server of this Dropbox account. Don't know where that server is, okay? I mean, that's this notion of the cloud. Dropbox doesn't own their own storage. They don't own their own servers. They purchase those services. My guess is they purchase them from Amazon Web Services. But wherever, that file has been moved from this little laptop to that server, wherever it may be. Let's go ahead and open this guy. By double-clicking. And you'll notice in this particular case, Dropbox has elected to open the file not in Word, but in the Dropbox viewer. This is a preview. To edit on your computer, click Open. We're not going to get involved in that quite at the moment, but this is the way that a file would appear to you using the multi-file file viewer that Dropbox makes available to you. And it gives you the full contents of this file. I'm going to go ahead and close it. Now, we don't want folders that are empty. I mean, we create folders for a purpose, right? We create folders to organize our data. Let's move this PRC Story doc into the My Documents folder. I'm going to use the right mouse button on this little portable keyboard. It opens a context menu. I'm going to select Move. Dropbox says, well, where the heck do you want to move it? Well, in this particular case, there's only one place to move it, and that's my folder. So I put my mouse pointer over my folder, click it once with my left mouse button, and select Move. Oh, gone from the root files location, and there it is inside of my folder. Basic file management. You're going to do it on a Windows machine, you're going to do it on a Mac, you're going to do it on a Linux box. That's the way it works. And that's the way Dropbox works. You'll notice they give you this nice little feature. Oh, it just disappeared up at the top of the screen. When we delete this, you'll see it. It gives you an option. It shows you the action that's occurred, and it also gives you the option of undoing it if you decide, gee, I made a mistake, I don't want to do that. What haven't we done? Well, we haven't deleted anything yet, right? Let's delete this guy, the PRC story. I'm going to right-click it. I'm going to delete it. You know, and you get the typical, are you sure you want to do this? Yeah, we want to delete it. And it's gone. And you'll notice up here at the top of the box, deleted one item. Hey, do you want to undo that? It gives you a fallback. If I made a mistake, I can get that guy back right away. Okay? Now, there's another way to do it too. Let's say that you go back to your main files location and you realize, you know, I deleted a file I shouldn't have done. And that file was originally in my folder. I'm going to open up my folder again, and I'm going to go up here to my File Action menu, and I'm going to click on the button that says Show Deleted Files. It's a trash can that's closed currently, right? If I click it, it becomes a trash can with a lid open. And there is the file that I just deleted. It's kind of like the recycle bin in Windows. If I want to recover that file, I can right-click on it, and I can restore it. There are a couple of other options too. I can permanently delete it, which would be equivalent to emptying your Windows recycling bin, or you can check to see if there's a previous version. Well, we're going to restore it. Yeah, that's the guy. I want to restore that. Click it. And there it is. It's back in my folder in Dropbox. Nice. I'm going to go ahead and close the lid on my recycling bin so that I only see files that are actually now on my server. Nice feature. I mean, we all make mistakes. We all delete stuff. We know we make a mistake. It's terrific to have that recycle bin. It's terrific to have the ability to recover a file from your Dropbox server. Let's go ahead and get rid of the folder too. I mean, we're deleting stuff. Let's do that. Right-click, delete. Delete to confirm. It's gone. Pretty nice. Okay. Basic use of file management of Dropbox through your browser. Now, it's really not, to my way of thinking, personal view, it's really not the most appealing way to be managing and working with my data. I would prefer to do it, if I'm using a desktop or using a laptop, I'd probably prefer to do it directly from my operating system. So let's take a look at how Dropbox allows us to do that from the Windows environment. This is Windows Explorer. I've just switched over. The web browser is still open, but we're now using the window containing Windows Explorer. Now, when you install these desktop applications for your Windows machine, or for your Linux machine, or for your Mac, the Dropbox Dropbox application does two things. First of all, it creates a folder on your local computer called Dropbox. Pretty simple. I mean, it just adds a new folder to your Windows hierarchy, your file hierarchy. It also has a little application that runs in the background, that's always running in the background, that keeps an eye on the contents of this newly created Dropbox folder. So, for example, if you add a file to your Dropbox folder, or you delete a file from the folder, or you add a folder, this little application notices that and says, hey, this user has made a change to the Dropbox folder. And it replicates that change by sending that new information or deleting that information up to the cloud server hosted by Dropbox. But this display is pretty typical to any Windows user, right? Let's go ahead and create a file. We can do that in Windows by right-clicking. We get a context menu, New, and let's create a new Microsoft Word document. There it is. Now what's happened, we haven't seen this happen, but what has happened is that when we've created this file, this Dropbox application that's always running in the background says, oh, this user has just created a new file on their Windows system. I'm going to make a copy of that file and I'm going to send it up to the cloud server of this user's Dropbox account. So that this file now lives in two places. It lives on your local machine and it lives up in the cloud on the Dropbox account. And every change, every addition, every deletion, every edit to a file that occurs is going to be replicated to your Dropbox cloud account. Let's make a folder. I mean, we got to make a folder. New folder. There's a new folder. That new folder has just been replicated up to the cloud. If I wanted to move this file, I'm going to move it to the new folder. That change has been replicated up to the cloud. Now you're saying, yeah, well, I can't see any of that happening. How do I know that, you're just pulling my leg? Well, we'll show you this whole process of syncing. We're going to display both of these interfaces, the Windows Explorer and the browser, simultaneously so that you can get an idea of what's going on here. Let's open new folder. There's my file. There's a Windows document with nothing in it. Let's put a little gibberish in here. Let's save this thing. We'll close it. And that change has been saved to our cloud server as well. So anything we do is replicated up to the Dropbox cloud server. Let's go ahead and move this file back out of the folder that it's currently in. Let's drag it over here. We'll put it down into Dropbox. We'll open Dropbox. And there's our folder again. Nice thing here too is that, I think I mentioned already, that if we delete a file, specifically from the Windows environment, where does it go? It goes to the recycle bin, right? And when I delete this file, that delete is also replicated on our cloud server, and it goes into the Dropbox version of the recycle bin. So it's there for 30 days, available for you. If for some reason or another you've cleaned out your local recycle bin, you might still be able to recover it from Dropbox. I'm going to go ahead and delete this file. Yep, I want to get rid of that. I'm going to go ahead and delete new folder. I'm going to get rid of that. So we're back to where we started, right? When we came into this little demonstration, we had one file, getting started with Dropbox, and that's it. All right, so we're working with here, Windows Explorer, and here is Dropbox in the cloud. Let's take a look at these guys simultaneously. And let's pull these out a little bit so we can see a little bit more real estate here. Do the same thing on this guy. So, what are we looking at? Well, we're looking at the two faces of Dropbox, at least these two faces, Dropbox Windows Explorer version, Dropbox browser version, Dropbox Windows Explorer version. Let's talk about syncing. Really key issue, critical issue about Dropbox and accessing your data and making it available to you from a variety of different devices. That's where all of the importance of these devices comes into play. Let's go through this process again. I'm going to create a new file down here in Windows Explorer. I'm going to create a Word document. I'm going to name it New Microsoft Word Document. Tick-tock, 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 tick-tock. Lo and behold, there's my new Microsoft Office Word document that's been replicated up in the cloud. Pretty cool, huh? I'm going to do this just so that we can see this in reverse. I'm going to delete this new Microsoft Word document from the cloud. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. It disappears from our desktop. Okay? So this little application that we install on our desktop machine is really doing what it's supposed to do. Proof positive. When I create a file on my local machine, that file is sent to the cloud. When I do something with that same file in the cloud, that change is replicated on my local machine. So these files, the file systems, are in sync. They're the same. You know, remember the old movies where the bank robbers had to synchronize their watches before they broke into the bank? They're making sure that their watches are all the same. That's what's going on here. Your data on your desktop and your data in the cloud are the same. That's really important. Let's see. I've got to figure out where I am in my little script here.
If I just delete that from the Word, the Dropbox still will have it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yes, it will still be in the Dropbox system. Let's take a look. Let's go back up here to our Dropbox browser interface. We're going to click on Show Deleted Files. And let's maximize this so we can see fully what's going on. Hey, there it is. There's the file that I deleted from my desktop. It was deleted from the browser cloud as well, but in so doing, it was put into this recovery state. Okay?
So if we delete something from the Dropbox, in desktop is automatically also deleted.
Yes. Now, when that happens, it doesn't go into the recycle bin because the delete command has not originated from Windows. It's originated from the cloud. But you're still okay because it's still in the cloud. Yeah, you can still go ahead and recover it from your trash bin.
Thank you.
You know, probably we should do a little bit of something related to Word, too, because this class said that Dropbox was an alternative to Google Docs. Okay? There are competing services that you can use besides Dropbox. One of them is Google Drive. Google Drive is cloud storage offered by Google. In addition to that, Google offers their cloud-based software applications like Google Docs, which is a cloud-based, cloud-hosted word processing application. Or Google Sheets, which is a cloud-based spreadsheet application. Or Google Slides. And there are a couple of others. There is iCloud, of course. You can store a bunch of stuff on iCloud. iCloud is primarily related to the Apple ecosystem, Ecosphere, but nevertheless, it's cloud-based storage. There is OneDrive, which is Microsoft's version of Dropbox. But again, the notion is the same. It's cloud-based data storage and data management. So you have your choices of services to use. Now, natively, Dropbox does not offer you a word processing application. There's no word processing application or spreadsheet application or presentation application or any other kind of application associated with Dropbox. You can use whatever application is on your computer, on your desktop or laptop computer, to use Dropbox with. If you wanted to use Word to create Word documents and save those to Dropbox, you can do that. If you used OpenOffice, which is a free suite of Office applications, to create Word documents or to create OpenOffice documents or spreadsheets, you could do that and save it to Dropbox as well. However, in November of last year, Dropbox entered into a partnership with Microsoft to integrate into Dropbox Microsoft Office Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, as well as the Microsoft Office Cloud Office Suite, Microsoft 365, so that those applications are readily available to Dropbox users. Now, that doesn't mean that you get that you get Microsoft Word for free from Dropbox to use on your desktop. It does, however, mean that if you're a tablet user, that you can install for free Microsoft Office Word and Microsoft Office Excel and Microsoft Office PowerPoint. We're going to demonstrate that in a few minutes. So it's a terrific collaboration. So in a very real sense, Dropbox in conjunction with Word or Excel or PowerPoint are indeed viable alternatives to Google Docs, Google Slides, and Google Sheets. Let's do this, and then we're going to move in quickly for some work with an Apple device. I'm going to go ahead and close our browser. I think we're done with our browser interface for now. And we're back to our Windows Explorer interface. We know what that looks like. Let's go ahead and close this. Windows 10. Anybody using Windows 10? Not yet. Yep? No? Okay. I've installed Word on this machine. Going to put some goop in there. And I'm going to save this. My file, and I'm going to save it in Dropbox. You know, rather than saving it in My Documents, I'm just going to save it in Dropbox. I'm going to go ahead and close Word. We'll go ahead and launch our Dropbox app. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. And there's my file. It's been replicated up to the server for sure. So here's a basic use of an installed application on a desktop or laptop, creating a file and saving it to Dropbox. And in so doing, creating that file on our Dropbox server so that we can access it from any device we might want to choose. So let's do that. Let's forget about this guy and let's use this guy. You know, I probably should do something. Let's see. Yeah, got to do that. All right, that seems to be running. So let's see what happens. Got an iPad. This iPad has Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint installed on it. Free. Okay? No strings attached. And let's see if we can't transition over. Yeah, that seems like it's working.
Ben, can I ask, did you get Word, Excel, whatever on that tablet by using Dropbox?
No, You just go to the Apple Store and install it. Okay? Looks pretty familiar. Anybody have an iPad? Okay. Here's our Dropbox application loaded on iPad. And lo and behold, my file. I just created that using Microsoft Word on my desktop, right? And now I'm accessing that file through this device. So I'm on the train in the morning, right? I got an 8:45 meeting, 8:45 a.m. meeting. I got to polish up that file for the meeting. Well, I can do that. Let's go ahead and take a look at this file using Microsoft Word. Word, Excel, PowerPoint. You'll notice I've also got some of these other competing storage systems. I'm going to use Word. Launch Word. Word would like me to open a file. I'm going to go to the Dropbox account that I'm using, and there's my file. Right? Pretty cool, huh? So, I can start working on my file while I'm on the train downtown for my 8:45 meeting. Now that's really powerful. I mean, when you think about it, you think about how you worked 5, 10, 15 years ago, you would never be able to do that. Not in your wildest imaginations would you think that I can actually work on my data while I'm sitting on the train, going to work or coming back home. It's really transformational when you think about it. Now you could say to yourself, gee, yeah, it's transformational. I'm working 16 hours a day because this stuff is all around me. Those are personal issues you've got to manage. But you certainly can do it. And it certainly makes doing work a lot easier. Okay? So it's pretty powerful stuff. And I'm not going to go any further. I want to give you some time to ask questions about this. But I think you get the idea that this ability to have your data centrally located allows you to work with it from a variety of different locations. Okay? Now, I said earlier that I was going to take a picture, and I'm going to do that. First of all, let me close this application.
So it might be a very stupid question, but when I go home and open my desktop and wanted to continue work on that site,
You can do that.
I can do that.
It's going to be there.
Is it?
Okay. So, Dropbox has a nice feature. If you take a lot of photographs, Dropbox has a nice feature in that it allows you to take a photograph with a mobile device and have that photograph immediately sent to the cloud server. Just like if you were to save a Word document from your desktop or laptop, it would be sent to the cloud server. Now, the advantage to that is that mobile devices don't have a lot of storage capacity. And pictures can take up a lot of space. If you take a lot of pictures, you're going to run out of storage capacity on your device fairly quickly. So this allows you to offload the photographs that are on your device, send them up to the cloud for your use, and have additional room on your device for more pictures. Nice. So let's do that. Let's take a group photo. And we'll get to our camera. I'm going to turn that off. Oh, yeah. This is a terrific looking group. All right. Everybody say cheese. Cheese. Terrific. All right. Now, tick-tock, tick-tock. This is going to take a few seconds. Let's take a look and see what happens here. Let's go to our Dropbox application online. Don't think we've got anything replicated yet. Let's take a look and see if we've got anything on the cloud. In any event, there we go. We see camera uploads, right? Maybe, with any luck. Oh yeah. Yeah, there you are. Pretty nice, huh? So if you're on vacation, you take a lot of pictures, it's an easy way to offload that stuff. Now, bear in mind that you're probably going to fairly quickly run into that 2 gigabyte ceiling. And you might think, gee, maybe I should spring for that 1 terabyte of data at $10 a month. A choice you'll need to make. But you can see, it's a nice feature. Now, for sharing, we're using the browser interface. Here's the picture I took. You'll notice way over here in the far right-hand corner, share. I click it. What it does is it creates, Dropbox creates a link, a hyperlink to that file. It says further down, send this link to an email address. Okay? So you fill that out, you put a name here, and you click send. The recipient is going to receive an email that says, Jane has shared a file with you. Click on that link, and the file is going to be displayed. Easy peasy.
What if you want that person to be able to change it? Do you have to go to change permissions?
In this particular case, none of these scenarios that we've talked about are related to collaborative sharing. By that I mean whereby you as the owner of the data have authorized one or more people to actually see it and edit it. That's a whole different kettle of fish. It requires not only that you have a Dropbox account, but it also requires that the recipients have Dropbox accounts as well.
So soon everybody will almost need a Dropbox account for the sake of receiving stuff from other people.
No, not necessarily. I mean, if it's just a simple question of sharing, whoever I send this link to doesn't have to have a Dropbox account. Okay? They just get an email. In the email is a link. You click on the link and there's the picture.
So if I have a Mac, an iPad, and a phone, let's say, and I want to start using Dropbox, I have to download it 3 times, right? The little icon? Or do I just download it on one item? And
Oh,
it's
no,
gonna
no, no, no,
sync
no,
up?
you're right. Yeah. First of all, you have a Macintosh at home. You are going to install the desktop app for Dropbox for Macintosh. You know, it takes
Right.
30 seconds. You're going to go to your phone or your tablet, and you're going to go, it's an Apple device? You're going to go to the Apple Store, and you're going to install the Dropbox app on your
So I
phone.
have to do it separately on each
Yeah,
device?
they don't migrate from one device
I
to
was
the
hoping
next.
they would. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Anything else?
When you were talking about the pictures and uploading to the cloud, then there's settings that you have to do on your phone then?
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, let's see if we can get this thing to do that. When you first open an account, you'll be prompted to turn on what's, I believe, called camera uploading. But if you aren't prompted to do that, I believe you can come down here to our notifications area. You'll notice down here, the notification area is a small version of the Dropbox icon. If you click on it once with your left mouse button, you can go to the gear up here in the upper right-hand corner. That's the settings. And we can go to preferences. And let's take a look. we go to the Imports tab, and you can import photos and videos to Dropbox, enable camera upload for photos only. So you can enable that by going to the Preferences section of the Dropbox notification icon. So you can turn it on and off. Okay. Anything else? It's a terrific service. I mean, even with a 2 gigabyte limit, there's a lot you can do with 2 gigabytes. And even if it does mean a little file shuffling on your desktop or laptop, you know, you can make ample use of that 2 gigabytes of storage. Terrific. Thanks for coming. Hope you got something out of it.